Welcome to The Flirty Vegan, the podcast that motivates you to thrive through plant-based living. I'm your host, Jenny Chaffetz, certified life, breathwork, and vegan lifestyle coach. After decades of dieting and deprivation, I found the secret to living a compassionate, nourished life. Whether you've been vegan for years or you're just flirting with the idea, prepare to be inspired by real people who courageously chose health and love. It's time to look better, feel better, and do better. Hey listeners, today's the day. Today is the official first episode of the Flirty Vegan podcast. My name is Jenny Chaffetz. I am your host. I am also a certified life and breathwork coach and vegan lifestyle coach and educator. After months of contemplation and deliberation, it's here. I have made the switch from Sideline Sisters to the Flirty Vegan to honor my soul, my deep, loving mission to spread the word of a vegan lifestyle. And we will get into all the different aspects of veganism and what brought my amazing guests to this decision in their life. So I hope you press subscribe or follow wherever you're listening so that these episodes show up in your queue because they're going to be fantastic. I will be bringing you conversations with doctors, activists, entrepreneurs, religious leaders, experts in science and psychology, chefs, and so much more. So buckle up. It's going to be a super fun ride. And even if you are not vegan or vegetarian or in any way focused on the animals or planet, that's okay. Just listen. That's what I ask of you, is to listen with an open heart and open mind and hear these real, relatable stories. Because the majority of my guests, maybe even all of them, are people who were not raised vegan. They came to this lifestyle for one reason or another, and I am confident that some of those reasons will affect you, will connect to something within you that's been dormant, maybe just bubbling beneath the surface. And I hope you'll share this show with others because that's how it works. You tell someone, they listen, they hear a message that resonates, something that they really needed to know, and there's a ripple effect. So use the share button and text a link to an episode your friend really needs to hear. And I also want to let you know that this show is now transitioning to every other week because in addition to the podcast name change, my whole business is morphing because I am so committed to changing the planet and helping people go vegan for all the reasons: health, animals, planet. I need time to work on that. And this show, while I love it intensely, is time consuming. I am a one-woman operation here, so I am going to be devoting more time to building the Flirty Vegan platform, where I will focus on individual coaching as well as workshops, speaking engagements. So if you work at a company or an organization that is interested in improving their health or their impact on the world, then let's talk. Let's get me on the books to speak to your people. Because I can speak to the health benefits of going plant-based, the cruelty and inhumanity of animal agriculture, and also the horrific impact on the environment and natural resources. And I can also go into mental health and oppression and all of the injustices surrounding a meat-eating society. But you tell me what your people need to hear, and I will speak to that. Because I am such a happy, proud vegan, and I can touch on whatever part of the conversation you think will be most effective. For me, I found veganism through a nature documentary. And let's be clear, I never identified as an environmentalist. I was not a tree-hugging, kumbaya-singing hippie. But we did fancy a wildlife video now and then. And it just so happened that the one we watched 5 years ago ended with a message of going vegan, because this movie showed how our actions as a meat-eating planet are having deleterious impact in the form of land devastation, species extinction, unimaginable pollution. And so I saw that and said, well, shoot, I might want to go see the Amazon rainforest one day. Not sure it's still going to be there. So that's what led me to be an overnight environmentally conscious vegan. And especially with the new year right around the corner, we as a society love to make changes around that time. love to start fresh and get healthy and do better. So that's my mission here, to help you, the listener, and your network bring about positive changes in your life. So be sure to check the show notes for relevant links, like my free tutorial video on how to veganize common recipes and holiday food. You'll want to check that link. And just know that The Flirty Vegan is where it's at. Website, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, podcast. So across all channels, follow The Flirty Vegan. When I went vegan, which is almost 5 years ago, I was searching desperately for support in the form of podcasts. I had already been an avid podcast listener, and now I just needed to find shows that aligned with my values to further my enthusiasm. And I stumbled upon The Exam Room, which is where I found Chuck. And I have been voraciously listening to that show all this time. Chuck Carroll is the host of the Physicians Committee's popular The Exam Room podcast, and he's known widely as the weight loss champion, a name given to him by an NFL player after losing an incredible 275 pounds. At just 5 feet 6 inches tall, Chuck weighed 420 pounds and had a 66-inch waist before radically changing his life. Now, like so many others, he tried and failed countless times to lose weight. Any success he achieved was short-lived as the weight came pouring back on and then some. At his heaviest, he was eating 10,000 calories every day. Out of desperation, he decided to have weight loss surgery in 2009. Prior to the procedure, he was convinced that it would become like all the other failed attempts to lose weight. Chuck was just 27 years old at the time and didn't believe he would live to see 30. He thought at least he would go to his grave saying he tried everything. But then the unexpected happened. He woke up from the surgery and never looked back. Although a critical component, the procedure proved only to be the first step in his journey. In fact, he only attributes 10% of his long-term weight loss success to it. The rest he credits to a plant-based diet and changing his lifestyle. By adopting a plant-based diet, he is no longer afraid of regaining the weight as he had so many times before. No more yo-yo dieting. He is thrilled that he is lowering his risk of cancer and Alzheimer's, both of which run rampant in his family. As a bonus, he's no longer spending massive amounts of money on medical expenses because of his optimal health. The confidence he gained from the weight loss enabled him to pursue his dream of becoming a reporter, where he covered sports and news for CBS and later NBC News Radio. He was also previously featured in the Physicians Committee's Teaming Up for Health campaign, where he had the opportunity to speak on Capitol Hill and share his remarkable journey. Now he's delighted to be bringing his passion and talents to the Physicians Committee as host of The Exam Room and to show others that the impossible is possible. You can get healthy. My friends, this is an absolute honor and privilege for me. I share with you my conversation with Chuck Carroll. It is with very tempered fandom that's seizing up within me that I am trying to carefully welcome the incomparable Chuck Carroll to the show. Chuck, welcome.
Thank you. It's good to be here. I've never been on a show called the Flirty Vegan Podcast before. This is truly a bucket list moment.
Oh, yay. Well, I'm so glad that there actually isn't another Flirty Vegan show. I thought I did my research, so I'm glad that's confirmed.
No, this is dope. Like when I got the invitation to come on the Flirty Vegan Podcast, I didn't know who you were, but I knew it was an instant yes, because I was like, I'm definitely going to be having some fun. Like this is my element where I can be 100% me, I feel. So thank you for making me feel so welcome with the name of the show alone.
Oh, thank you, Chuck. That means a lot to me because I have been a consumer of your content since, I want to say since the day I went vegan, but it might have been a couple of days after when I was seeking out community and validation. I had made this big choice in my life and I had no one to really share it. I mean, I have a family, but no one who was really on board with it. So I had to take to the interweb, the Audible world, and find a sense of cheerleading and information. And oh yes, Jenny, you did make the right choice. So thank you for providing that to me.
Oh, well, thank you. And thanks for being an exam roomie. And like, yeah, I mean, that's the cool thing about the online community in the health space is that there are so many like-minded people who just want to help others along the way. And, for whatever reason, no matter what diet you go on, when you go on a diet, you feel so isolated because you're really the only one that's eating that way more often than not. And especially here, when it's such a controversial thing to eat a plant-based diet, like, which is just insane to me, but whatever. I'm just glad that you found some friends along the way.
Yes, and I'm glad to maybe I'd like to consider myself joining your corner of the podcasting space now with this show that's speaking the same language. So, to introduce you to the audience, I have, oh, and by the way, this is the premiere episode of the show. In
Hot damn.
case, I guess I kind of forgot to tell you that one in the off recording time. This is it. This is the first episode. So, to the audience and to you, welcome to the Flirty Vegan.
Woo woo. Pretty
Yes,
vegan.
cue the applause. Um, So, what we're doing on this show is speaking to current vegans who want community and encouragement to stay the path, which if they've chosen it for ethical reasons, they probably don't need that validation. But it's also for what we probably like to call the pre-vegans, the future plant-based eaters. To I stole
The
that from someone else.
pre-vegans.
I did steal that.
So good.
um, to offer them information, ideas, inspiration, a little bit of enthusiasm that we're loving this way of life and, to jump on the wagon with us. So, with that, I want to ask you to start us off by the show is called The Flirty Vegan, and you know what it's like to date and before you got married, to look for that special person from across the room. So, what attracted you to a plant-based lifestyle?
Oh man, I thought we were gonna go down a completely different road. I thought
I
you were
know
gonna be
you
like,
did.
what? I was like, are we gonna go through my dating history?
We
Um,
can, we can after this.
Okay. Okay. So what attracted me to a plant-based diet? I mean, I was in search of health, anything that was going to help me achieve my health goals or help me maintain the course that I was on. And, I came into it a little bit later in my health journey because I had bariatric surgery, but the scale was going back up a little bit. And I was already nicknamed the weight loss champion by a number of players in the NFL. Adam Carricker was the first player to coin that for me, but and that's when I was covering the team, and life was really good as a huge sports fan to have that as my job, and then to have earned that nickname. But still, I was like, there has to be more. And even though I had lost a tremendous amount of weight, there were days when I just, still felt kind of sluggish, and that's when I was interviewing a professional wrestler by the name of Austin Aries, who said, you should really look at going plant based. And he himself, having wrestled for WWE at WrestleMania, like that is truly the Super Bowl of that sports entertainment anyway. I had a lot of admiration, and so that got my ear. And I remember thinking back to an encounter that I had with Dr. Barnard and my colleagues, now my colleagues at the
Right.
Physicians Committee, and learning a little bit about eating a plant-based diet there. But for whatever reason, when I had that conversation with Austin, I really felt like I should give this a go because here's somebody that's kind of in my, sports jock centric kind of circle, really talks my kind of talk, walks my kind of walk. And this is working for him.
Mm.
If I had any preconceived notion that a plant based diet was frou frou, that certainly went out the door. And so that really is what pushed me in the direction that I ultimately went. And the very next day, after speaking with Austin and doing that interview for CBS at the time, I was all in and have never looked back.
Mm. I love that. I've heard you tell that story many times, but I wanted to illuminate it for our listeners. And I love it. There's different ways and whys to adopting a vegan approach and diet. So I love that that was the way. But I want to ask you about the why, because especially when, and you've talked to way more people than I have about food. When people adopt a plant based diet for health reasons or weight loss, I find that it might be a little easier to have cheat days or kind of pivot temporarily, like, oh, that's, it's been going really well, but let's just see if I can still be healthy and bring back in that thing that, the mozzarella sticks or whatever, fish sushi kind of thing.
Yeah.
What is it that has motivated you to stay plant based?
Having learned about what can happen when I have a cheat day, I'm very terrified of everything going off the rails. So fear more than anything, to be honest with you.
Hey,
Um,
fear motivates kids to behave. It does a lot of things.
and fear can be a beautiful thing. Because there were times when I would go off of my diet back in the day and having lost, 60, 70 pounds, like pretty good chunks of weight, but
Hmm.
being so overweight, there was still a way to go. But I got that far. And I remember one time in particular, there were two times really that stood out to me. I don't talk about this one as much as I do, punching my fist through a wall. That's my pretty famous one. But
I love that.
there
Yep.
was one time I was working in a Mexican restaurant and literally could have anything that I wanted, uh, fresh, authentic Mexican food. I was not working at Taco Bell, but still, I had to go to Taco Bell after I ate. But
Yeah.
after work, there's just something about Taco Bell. But
Because you could
anyway,
distinguish between the fancy Mexican and the junk food Mexican. Yeah.
absolutely, if it was anything clean and healthy, like I wanted nothing to do with it. Like let's just go straight for the cheesy gordita crunch or whatever. But anyway, I remember, like, having lost 60 pounds, and I thought, like, I could have 1 nacho. I call this my 1 nacho theory, and
Mm.
I had it, and I was like, "Okay, that wasn't so bad. Let me have another," and then I had the 1 nacho dunked in the nacho cheese. No problem, and then quickly after that, it became a problem because it was nacho after nacho after nacho into right back at Taco Bell and, after eating the big super burrito from the restaurant I was working at the time, and it just, like, fell off the rails. So, for me, like, that one nacho led to a vicious falling off of the wagon when it came to food, and that was it, and within a matter of a couple of months, all of the weight that I had lost came back, and of course, as has happened with so many of us, it came back and then some, the plus 10, the
Mm.
plus 20, and so I call that the one nacho theory. It was kind of a mini epiphany, like, "Oh my god, I can't have just one." Like, they're so right with that commercial. I think it was like Lay's or Pringles or
Mm.
something like that, bet you can't
Yep.
eat just one. And then flash forward a few years when I was actually being paid to endorse something called the cookie diet. I was working at a radio station here in Washington, DC. Yeah, eat cookies, lose weight. It couldn't, what could possibly go wrong? By day 3 without Taco Bell, like I'm in full blown withdrawal, like feeling sick, looking sick, angry, aggravated, agitated, and that was the night that I actually, like, because I hadn't had Taco Bell in 3 days, and that's literally all I could think about for those 3 days. That's the night that I punched my fist through a wall and snuck out of the house after midnight, found the 24-hour drive-through, loaded up on my $20 worth of Taco Bell, which you figure in inflation today, this is like $35 worth of food
Jeez. Mm.
and 5,000 calories in a sack, and having that first bite that night, and instantly that anger went away, the feeling of sickness went away. It was like the best Prozac and antibiotic wrapped into one you could ever imagine, and it worked instantaneously. But then it dawned on me that I was a junkie. I was literally a junk food or a fast food junkie,
Right. They call it
and
junk
I
food
had
for a reason.
yeah, 100%. And
Yeah.
and, that's why I don't do cheat days because of those 2 instances, and knowing if I had that one bite, boom, that switch would get flipped in my brain and I would be probably right back at Taco Bell, at least convincing myself temporarily, just eat the vegan stuff, you'll be okay. I don't want to go down that road. I've been down that road and it sucks. So I stay on the straight and narrow.
So I know in your journey there was the surgery and weight loss, and then ultimately plant based, which kind of led you to the optimal health
Yeah.
place that you rested in. Besides losing more weight, what other benefits did you see? Did you experience from adopting a plant based lifestyle?
So it's funny. I mean, we were talking about fear. Like, I was no longer afraid that I was going to die of a heart attack in my 50s, like what happened to my grandfather. That was my dad's dad. Never met the man. He passed before I was born. No longer afraid that I was going to have, heart troubles like my own father was experiencing, or my mom's dad. And so it's just like that was a big weight off of my shoulders, being able to walk more than 15, 20 feet without my chest starting to tighten up and just thinking, oh God, this is my day. And to not have that burden is great. And then to learn about the connection between diet and cancer and those risks falling and plummeting, like I felt really good. Same thing with Alzheimer's disease, which also runs rampant in my family. And, I didn't realize what a big burden or a dark cloud that was just hanging over me all the time. But to not feel so afraid of that stuff creeping up on me in time, like it's pretty good. And no, I'm not saying that eating a plant-based diet makes you bulletproof. I mean, I can talk for days about why it doesn't, but just knowing that the things that I fear the most, I have way more control over than I imagined. That makes me feel pretty empowered and proud, even to be eating this way and leading others by example. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's really crazy. I mean, I'm sure you know plenty of people who are doing I don't want to say standard American diet as in the crappy food, but more like the standard American diet as in counting, tracking, measuring, restricting, depriving, maybe binging. But, the dieting method that you and I are both familiar with. And they're also maybe doing a lot of exercise and uh, other trends that come across. Maybe they're taking lots of supplements or drinking their protein shakes and their whey powder, creatine, and all the things. What are some of the things that you would want to say to the people who are doing all the things and still not feeling as great as they could?
I mean, number one, like, I think when you put that much stress into figuring out what it is you should be eating every day, like, I mean, that's no fun, to be honest with you. Like, who wants to like weigh and measure with every friggin' meal and snack? Like, forget about it, right? So just go
Right.
back to that, KISS philosophy. Keep it simple, stupid. Like, it doesn't have to be any more complicated than throw a whole bunch of like whole foods on your plate and beans, greens, grains. Let's get some fruits and veggies in there. Make sure that you got a whole bunch of different colors in there. And if you ate one kind of bean for lunch, eat a different kind of bean for dinner. That's it. And then the rest kind of takes care of itself. Like, for the love of pearl, people, like, and quit with the damn protein obsession too. Protein is important, but it's really fiber that we should be focusing on. And the research that I have seen, and certainly Dr. Christopher Gardner out of Stanford does a fantastic job of highlighting that there's literally protein in every single food that you eat. And so if you eat a wide variety of plants, you're going to get everything that you need, provided you're getting enough calories. Again, 99% of the time, everything's going to take care of itself. So stop overthinking it, enjoy your meals, and let the food do the work for you. Don't overthink it, people. Don't overthink it.
Right, right. I know it's crazy. Now, you did mention that eating plant-based is not an automatic bulletproof shell that we get to encase ourselves in. That being said, you have encountered health issues. What is it like? What has it been like navigating a health issue while living under this kind of plant-based microscope?
It's really hard, to be honest with you. Like I wrestled with talking about it publicly for golly, 2.5 years. And I just, it gets to a point where you can't keep a secret because, in my case, with my metabolism getting all wonky because of what's going on, people are like, are you gaining weight? And, I had people writing in, it's like, "Oh, no, did you, go back to Taco Bell? Like, I'm here to help you. I can, just let me know what you need." And well-intentioned, but it's
Yeah.
like, you guys don't have a clue, and that's just kind of also like, you know, fat shaming in a way, and that's something that I never thought that I would
In a
have to,
huge way.
deal with again, right? And, there have been people who were like, "Well, just for now, drop the weight loss champion name and just go by Chuck," and it's just like, come on, guys, like, you don't have a clue of what's actually going on, and it's hard, but eventually you have to talk about it, and even though I didn't necessarily want to do it, it became one of the most liberating moments in my life when I went out to Los Angeles and recorded with Maxim Seguin,
Mm,
phenomenal body recomposition coach. Just I can't say enough nice things about him, and so to be able to give him that story on his show was really good. And
mm,
yeah, my case is ultra rare and ultra complex and has absolutely nothing to do with eating a plant-based diet, and very likely has to do with the fact that I had bariatric surgery and was also living a very, very, very stressful life. And so you kind of put those two things together, and I don't care how much kale you eat or how many
mm,
blueberries you eat, you're just not going to be able to overcome what's going on. And so now there's a lot of working theories about what's going on, and they haven't quite figured it out. But I do feel like we're starting to really put the pieces together to get things squared away so I can have my regular life back. But I'll tell you also, it's hard literally going to the best doctors in the country. Like, I'm being treated at the Mayo Clinic, and they are as baffled by a lot of this as I am. And that's not a very comforting space to be in. Now, people will also say that, well, why do you even bother eating a plant-based diet, right? You're not bulletproof. It's like, well, no kidding. But if I weren't eating this way, then I would be in a serious, 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 like, life and death battle, I think, at this point. I felt like I
wow.
wasn't. And when I was being treated at Johns Hopkins before I went over to Mayo, I remember asking one of the doctors there if I was dying, and they said, "I don't know." And that was very
Mm,
early on, but that was not a good day. But I
wow.
do know that, as frustrating as it is whenever I get a test result back and it says that I'm perfectly healthy and the test is perfectly normal, like, it's both comforting and frustrating at the same time. It's like, because
Right?
daggone it, all I want is answers. But at the same time, look at that cholesterol. That's pretty impressive, right? It's
Well,
it's
that's
like, come
exactly
on,
what I
man.
was going to say is, I mean, I can't imagine, I'm sure you can't imagine what the alternative would be if you
Yeah.
did flip back to the old style of eating.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty bad. And so, like, what happened with me, for those who haven't heard the story yet, is like every day, and for a while I was having like really severe GI symptoms. I would get like super bloated, and then it just got worse and worse and worse over time. And now we're kind of at a point where every day, I kind of feel either drunk or stoned for a good chunk of the day. And that has to do with the nervous system, and because I feel so much worse after I eat, I did not eat for like 6, 7 months, something like that. It was a very long time, like literally maybe 200 calories a day. And so I got like super thin, like all the way down to like 115 pounds, that kind of ballpark. And then when I kind of had to force myself to start eating again, I got up to about 1,800, 2,000 calories, all whole food plant based, but my body to this day now is just clinging to every calorie. And so the metabolism's wonky. So they're a little bit puzzled by that, but we'll we'll get it all squared away. And long story short, there is a chance that it is the bariatric surgery that's kind of doing some wonky things, created a hernia. The hernia is pushing up into the diaphragm. That is aggravating the nervous system, and causing just a bunch of different symptoms. And so that's one of the theories. That may be part of it, that may not be all of it, but we'll find out. But there's a reason why I walk around wearing the John Cena hats, the never give up hat,
Mm,
every day. It's because it's a reminder to me to keep going, because there are days when I'm just, like, reduced to tears because the feelings are so bad, and there's, like, so much anxiety that comes with, "Am I ever gonna be my old self again?" And it's hard. It's really hard. So, that's kinda where we're at.
well, thank you for sharing that, Chuck, and I'm really sorry, I don't mean to dig it all up for you, because you present the same way on your show. You still have the same
Thank you.
high spirits and the tone of voice that sounds energized and, engaged. So, are you just masking it, or do you have moments of feeling well?
Um, I love what I do, and so it's kind of a bit of an escape.
Mm,
But there are times when it's very difficult to do the show, because it's like you feel so drugged that sometimes it's hard to follow the conversation. And there are certain things that I've learned to do to try to stay more present when somebody's talking. Certainly the show prep has gone up exponentially. Really making sure that
got a couple more interns.
no, well, yeah, I'm still pretty much a one-man band, but I'm now like a note-taking machine, and make sure that I
Mm,
have, like, everything up in front of me, at all times. But in terms of spirit, it's like, look, I'm very cognizant of the fact that I have a phenomenal platform, and I'm so blessed to be able to do that. And I want people to know that there are times when I'm struggling, but I also want to show them that if they're struggling as well, you can still perform at a very high level and do the things that you really love to do in life. So just because you're sick doesn't mean that, life has stopped. You don't have to curl up into a ball and, feel sorry for yourself and wonder why me. There's that line from the Shawshank Redemption, get busy living or get busy dying.
yep.
I'm gonna keep living. Like, it's not even a question. And I know it's hard. And there are days, believe me, when all I wanna do is, like, listen to, the Jelly Roll song. "Somebody Save Me" is a really good one. And it's just like, I would much rather, spend my days curled up in a ball in those cases. But, like, I would be letting myself down. I'd be letting so many other people down who, are watching the show and learning for, their own health reasons, and those that know the struggle that I'm currently going through, and using that as motivation for them to keep pushing through, right? I need to maintain that. So, I feel like the exam roomies are kind of my accountability buddies. And it's really cool to be able to reach people on that type of a profound level. It really is.
Sorry for the interruption, but I have to ask, have you thought about going vegan but then reconsidered because it sounds too hard, too overwhelming, too removed from the normal way of eating? If so, that is totally normal. We've all been there. So I want to share with you a fun video. It's kind of like a tutorial of me going through my local grocery store magazine. And it doesn't matter if you don't live near a Hannaford, this still applies. And I show you how easy it is to veganize the various recipes presented. You could get the Hannaford Fresh magazine online for free and follow along with me, or you could just watch and listen as I explain the ease and accessibility of incorporating a plant-based diet. So I'd love to share this video with you. Just go to the show notes and click on free supermarket video and enjoy. And if you want more individualized help to implement a plant-based diet, then click on the link that's also in the show notes for a free coaching call. Now let's get back to the episode. And I just think it's so inspiring that a lot of people, when they encounter a struggle, whether it's their own health struggle or a job loss or a family crisis, it's so easy to go right back to those things that as I've heard you refer to it, the warm blanket, those things that, as warped as it is, made us feel safe and loved when in fact they were doing more harm than anything. But it's easy to fall back into those old patterns, and you haven't.
No, I
And
I have no use for I've spent, golly, I mean, close to 30 years just destroying my body, and I feel like, what I'm going through now is, just a late penalty for doing that. It's just like, the tax man just waited a long time to come collect. But yeah, I mean, so I'm still paying that penalty.
sorry.
So yeah, why would I want to do that anymore? Right. It's like I think about, in another 10 years, like hopefully we'll have this situation figured out. I don't want to have something else pop up, damn it. Like I'm ready to
Right.
just be.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Okay, so on that note, we'll flip it to a little more uplifting for everyone.
Yeah.
In 10 years, you would love to feel like this is well in the past, and now, the flowers have sprouted. I'm living my best life. You have interviewed hundreds and hundreds of people. You've conducted, like, what, 47,000 interviews at this point. So,
47,001. Yeah.
okay, okay, yeah, I missed that last one. Um, you've heard so many brilliant pieces of wisdom along the way. Are there any particular nuggets that have stood out to you as like, yes, absolutely, I'm not going to forget this when it's going in the pocket?
Oh boy.
I know, I know. There's you could probably write a book about everything that you've learned along the
Yeah.
way.
I think what really sticks out to me is like the fact that a lot of times plaque buildup can be reversed, and again, that goes back to what I was telling you with like heart disease being so problematic in my family. So it's like, I would love to, be able to keep banging that drum, and to that end, like I'm really excited to see where the recent Alzheimer's studies are going to wind up in a decade. Dean Ornish here is now positing that the early stage amyloid plaques in the brain are able to be reversed with diet and lifestyle interventions. So let's see that, study some more, right? Can we have some more groundbreaking research in that arena, right? And I think that that's pretty cool. And so those are things that I take with me, but then there are also things that I'm very much going to be keeping an eye on in the future too, because I just think it's fascinating. And here we are, spending billions and trillions of dollars on very advanced, very cool like medical research on how to treat these horrific diseases. But wouldn't it be just a kick in the pants if at the end of the day it boiled down to diet and lifestyle? And that's as simple as it could be, right? No prescription needed. That to me just it makes me laugh for goodness sakes, it makes me laugh.
Yeah, something that I'm known for saying in my house, in amongst my people, is very similar to what you just said. So, someone will have a problem, you name it, whether it's GI, acne, period cramps, whatever it is, and I will immediately say, let's look at your diet, or let's maybe tweak something and cut out the dairy. And people will come at me and say, it's not that simple. And I say, yes, it is. It actually is that simple, because to me, it is the simplest experiment. You didn't have to go to a doctor's appointment. You didn't have to have a referral. You didn't have to get a prescription, wait for it to run its course and kick in. You actually could try eating better like now.
Yeah.
So I think it is that simple.
Yeah, and again, like nothing's going to make you bulletproof, and
Right.
certainly we still need those medical advances. But I would just love to see diet and lifestyle interventions become the front line, the first
Yes.
line of defense. And I
That's what I
think
mean.
that
It's the simplest first step.
right, start there. We're not saying it's going to like 100% guarantee that it's going to clear up everything that ails you,
Right.
but dag on it, you got a pretty good shot.
Right. What if it did?
Yeah.
What if your
What if?
acne cleared up with cutting out dairy and not Accutane? What
Right.
if you
Yeah.
could not be debilitated in bed with menstrual cramps instead of taking Motrin after Motrin after Motrin?
Yeah.
Just saying.
What if?
What
What
if?
if?
That
Hmm.
is that's to me, I do break it down and say, I'm not trying to simplify that every cancer and every stroke could have been avoided with diet and lifestyle,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
what
What if?
if that
What if?
were the first approach?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We try all these other treatments and they don't work, but somehow like we're so opposed to this simple solution, right? And so
Right.
it's like, come on, guys.
I know. People are
Yeah,
so married to their way of living, way of
I know.
eating.
It's tough.
So, in addition to all the different pieces of wisdom that you've gotten from Dr. Barnard and Dr. B and all the different practitioners you bring on the show, you also interview real people and people who have these really profound stories, people that I'm trying to get on this show because I'm so inspired by them. The Rubies, and you mentioned Maxime and Dotsie, all these people that you've spoken to. So I know this is like asking you, to pick a favorite kid, pick a favorite pet, but do you have any favorite guests that have, maybe by favorite, like the ones that have completely knocked you on your side with, wow,
I love them all equally.
I
They're all
know.
my friends. No, that is a tough question because look,
Yeah.
everybody brings something a little bit different to the table, right? And everybody's got a different personality, which means that every person who has come on the show is able to reach somebody that hasn't yet been reached on that level. And so I love to have that kind of variety. Now, in terms of people who I just click with, I mean, obviously Dr. B is my boy, right? That's
Yep.
my ride or die right there. I love me some
Yep.
Dr. Will Bolsewich, the Pharaoh of Fiber, the Prince of Poop, the Duke of Dung. Give him a name. I've given him plenty. Um,
I love it every time.
yeah, man. And so I love him. Maxim, Adam Sudd, whose story,
Oh
resonates with
yeah.
me so much as well. Um,
Yeah.
and then there are guys that, you can just shuck and jive with. Gregor is,
Oh,
he can be a character, right? And so like,
he's amazing.
yeah, we can get goofy with him on the show, no problem. And I like people who are able to be themselves. Lee Crosby, a dietitian that used to be with us
Mm,
at the Physicians Committee. If go back and listen to her earlier episodes, man, I love her to death. And obviously, Neil working with Dr. Barnard. He's a lot of fun too. Like I love talking, Formula One racing with him off the mic, and it's just like I'm building relationships with people and making friends and learning that these people are more than just, fruits and vegetable, hippie, nutrition nuts. These are just they're regular people who also happen to have a passion for, healthy eating. And it's really cool to get to know who that person is beyond their professional nutrition talk.
yeah, it is pretty awesome. I feel like I know them all myself, even though I don't yet. You'll make some introductions for me, I'm sure. Um,
Putting me on the spot, are we?
yeah, yeah. I'm just putting that out there, planting that seed, if you will.
We're gonna
Um,
manifest. Chuck's gonna book
yeah.
everybody on my show.
Yes,
Just
yes.
let
You're
me know
now
who you
my
want to
booking
talk to.
agent, so that's how
Okay.
this is going to work.
Let me know who
Um,
you need. I got you.
okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So I believe you said after you had that conversation with Austin, that was like the switch. I'm
Yeah.
going to try this. It worked for him. Game on.
Yep.
What would you say to the person listening who is flirting with making some changes in their lives, but this whole plant-based world sounds way too extreme?
It's not as extreme as you think. That's the funny thing is, I really did think it was going to be like this group of just kooky folks, but it's not. I mean, there are people in there that love sports, love music, love movies, like just they love life, right? And so like it's not tie-dye and Birkenstocks, guys. Like
Yeah,
that's not to
right.
say that we don't have our fair
Nothing
share,
wrong
but
with
what
that.
group doesn't? Right. Just saying. I'm just saying, judgment free zone, but give it a try. And like, here's the thing it's like, you literally have nothing to lose by giving it a try for a little while, right? And if it sucks and to you it's just like the drizzling dog dungs, then go back and do what you were doing, right? I would love if you would eat plant-based, but do you, boo. And I'm not here to judge. And so yeah, just give it a whirl, like see what happens with your numbers. And also know that there are ways to recreate all of the cool food that you have fallen in love with your entire life. eating this way does not mean giving up your favorite foods. It just means eating a different version of it, using a little
Yeah.
bit different recipe. And I guarantee you, it will taste better to
Yeah.
you than what you're eating now. You can
Yeah.
actually taste the food as opposed to just tasting the salt and the oil and everything that's probably in there.
Mhm. Oh, amen. It
Preach. But I'll tell you, I was terrified of even eating a wrap for the longest time because I thought that that would trigger me to go back to the burritos at Taco Bell.
yeah.
I really did. And and then I'll be damned if I didn't eat a whole food plant-based wrap. It was just black beans and rice, lettuce in there, some pico, and I was like, "Oh my god." Oh, and a sweet potato. And I was like, "Oh man, this is really probably not a good idea, but everybody else is doing it. Let me just see." No problem. And I loved every bite of it, but you know what didn't happen? I didn't have to find a 24-hour whole food plant-based drive-through to go and get one. Like, your brain just operates differently. It's like, yeah, you can taste the food and you'll really love it, but you're not gonna go bat-ass crazy if you don't get it. It's it's
Right.
it's refreshing. I don't there's not a better word than that. It is refreshing for somebody who struggled, with food addiction for so many years to be able to not have those chains put on you and be able to eat the things that you truly enjoy eating and not losing control over it. It's really pretty damn incredible. To this day, I get the biggest kick out of that.
Right? I'm with you
Yeah.
100% because before I went vegan, I actually owned a home-based bakery. This is pre-vegan, so I prided myself on how many sticks of butter and dozens of eggs I would use in a day because that was a measure of how much work I did. So if I went
Right?
through 48 eggs in a day, that must have meant I had a big job to do. So yay for me. And
Yeah.
I had, like you, had a history of food addiction, binge eating. I had a different preference than you. I was all sweets and not so much the salt and cheese, but I would literally shut the door. We had a walk-in pantry in that house when I had that business, and I would shut the door and literally closet eat. Like it wasn't metaphorical. I was in a closet with the door shut by myself, and it was kind of a scary image to reflect back on.
Mhm.
And it is wild to me. It does not miss my attention on a daily basis that I'm not living like that and
Yeah.
that I can actually have a plant-based treat. I'm not 100% whole food plant-based, so I will partake of a Justin's peanut butter cup or Unreal or something, but I can have one and stop and enjoy the taste of it, appreciate it, and not feel like I need to find the nearest closet, turn off all the lights and stuff my
Yeah.
face.
Yeah, man, absolutely. And I remember, gosh, doing something similar when, again, I was still at Big 100.3 here in DC. And there was a Subway built into the Shell gas station right across the street. And I would go there and I would get like 18 inches of sub every afternoon for lunch. And I would go back to my office there and literally not just shut the door, but shut and lock the door
Right,
and
right,
eat there because, like, I was so ashamed that, I was eating 18 inches of
right.
sandwich plus chips and probably a couple Diet Mountain Dews and just, like, completely gorging, but, I felt also like I had to eat that much. I don't know because, like, that's the only way I would be satisfied, and there was a lot of shame, but, like, I just couldn't imagine eating all that food with the door open
Oh
and,
God, right,
having people, walk by and judge and like, "Oh, you wanna talk?" And, like, seeing, like, 2 sub wrappers, like,
right.
sitting out on the desk and 2 bags of Doritos or whatever. It's just like, I didn't wanna deal with that, so you just shut the door, you hide, you do what you're gonna do, and then you go about your day.
I've heard your story about going through Taco Bell and having the cashier shame you and
Oh,
you
yeah.
saying like, "Oh no, it's for the guys back at the office."
Yep.
I mean, I've done the same things. Like we used to buy the Costco size bags of M&Ms and other candy items because I would use them legitimately in my business, but also the family would partake of them. And they would disappear quicker than they should have for the amount of work that I was doing.
Hmm.
And my husband would say, God, didn't we just get that bag from Costco? And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. God, our kids must be sneaking in here. And I mean, the people I would like, you must be having more than you realize. Um,
Oh,
yep, Jenny, look in the
dude.
mirror. I know.
Dude. Oh, you put it on the kids. That reminds me of the time that Heathcliff Huxtable on the Cosby Show back in the day broke the mug and tried to blame it on the kids. You know, for shame.
Sounds
But
about
I
right.
totally understand at the same time. Like, I get it.
I,
I get
I,
it at the
all
same
right.
time.
I am
Totally get it.
apologizing
Yeah.
publicly. It's
Yeah.
embarrassing the things we do in the name of our addictions.
Yeah. I got you.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
got you.
So I just want to send a little love out there to all the people who think, nope, this is what I've always done. This is my hidden secretive behavior, and I don't know how to knock it. Try a sweet potato.
Sweet potatoes are the ticket, man. I love me some sweet potatoes.
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
I just had a couple of purple ones the other day.
Ooh,
Yeah. Have
nice.
you seen the purple sweet potatoes?
I have. I've had them. They're
Of course you
sweeter.
have.
I like them.
Yeah.
Very, very much like them. And they've got that different nutrient profile too, probably some more
And they feel
antioxidants in 'em.
fancy.
I know, it's a purple potato. It is fancy. Yeah,
They
hell
do
yeah.
feel fancy. Gosh, Chuck, I don't really want to say goodbye to you, but let me ask you, do you have a first step that you would tell someone if they're afraid to jump completely into the plant-based pool? Is there like a first baby step that you think is an easy entry point?
Yeah. I like the advice that has been given a number of times on the show, and it's actually twofold. Like, number 1 is, like, just kind of be confident in giving it a whirl. But number 2, if you're not the kind of person that will go all in overnight, that's okay. So just start by replacing 1 meal, a day with a completely plant-based version, and just start there and then build upon that. But you have to say, like, all right, for 1 week, I'm going to start with 1 meal a day. Week 2, it'll be 2. And then by week 3, if you're liking what's happening, and you should be feeling a bit better about, your health within those 14 days, then by week 3, make the switch and see how you do. And still remind yourself that if it's not for you, it's okay. You're not making a permanent change overnight, you're just changing overnight, and let's see how it goes. And that is a lot easier for people to swallow when there's that apprehension. Doesn't have to be all or nothing overnight. A lot of people do prefer that route, myself included. That's just my
Yeah.
personality.
Hmm.
But give yourself actual, like, hard dates to take things up to that next level while still knowing that if this is not for you, then it's not for you, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I tell people to date veganism. You don't have to get married right away. And even if you do get
Yeah.
married, you can get divorced. So there's an option for everyone.
Yeah, yeah, I think so too. So listen, when you're giving people the vegan pitch, like, do you get flirty with them as the name would suggest? Like,
Well,
how does this happen? And can you give me flirty vegan pitch? Sorry to turn the host tables on you, but I own it. Live up to the name, girl. Come on now,
yeah,
own it.
yeah. I mean, it is a rebrand, so I'm working into it. But yeah, I mean, it is a like, will you go out with me vibe of like, will you try? Like, what do you think? Let's make eyes at that pasta primavera. Oh wow, it doesn't have a meatball. It's
Mm,
still delicious,
mm,
I mean, I was just talking to a friend yesterday who is curious, which is always great, be plant curious. And I said, do you like vegetables? Do you like oh, mushrooms, pepper, zucchini, eggplant? Wonderful. Okay. So, how about having pasta with vegetables? Pasta? But I have diabetes. I said, oh, no, you're okay. Pasta and vegetables. It's take off the meatball, take off the chicken cutlet, you're fine.
yeah,
And it was like, the heavens cracked open. I mean, the person couldn't believe that is an actual meal they can eat that's plant-based. And I said, yeah, just, saute your vegetable. If you want to saute the vegetables in something decadent, fine, choose your oil, but skip the butter. It's a simple swap.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
Baby steps. Baby
Baby
steps.
steps.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, before I ask my final question, why don't
Mhm.
you tell this audience where they can consume Chuck content just as I've had the privilege of doing?
Well, I wish I could say I've got a Cameo account. So no Cameo. No Substacks yet. Um, but the Exam Room podcast. So literally wherever it is that you get your shows, if it's Spotify, if it's Apple, if it's I don't know what else is out there. There iHeart, like there's a gajillion platforms that you can go to. But yeah, just look for the Exam Room by the Physicians Committee. That's the important part.
Mm.
And hit that subscribe button. And then if you want to send me a message on social media, Chuck Carroll, WLC across the board, X, Insta, Facebook. That's me. And I love talking to people and having conversations. So come on out and say hi.
So I recently took a vegan coaching course, and Dr. Frank Sabatino was one of our guest lecturers.
Frank. Yeah.
And I started listening to the podcast he recommended, and I was very surprised to hear some episodes with Chuck Carroll.
Oh, was this the NHA podcast?
Yes.
Okay.
I was like, what's he doing here?
I mean, I got asked, and so I was like, yeah. I was like, I'd
Yeah,
be
that
honored to
was
do it. I love the NHA. I love the
mm,
Hubermans, Mark and Wanda. Like they're great. Frank is a great guy too. So yeah, it was a lot of fun to do another show for a change. Just to keep the chops, nice right there.
yeah,
Keep the
yeah.
skill set
And
sharp.
Maxon
So
was
yeah.
also a guest
Yep.
host on
Yeah.
that show too. So
Yeah.
it's been good to mix it up for me. Not that there's anything wrong with Exam Room on repeat, but I do a little swap back and forth, which is nice. Just keep my brain working.
Always. I'm sure
All
there
right.
are others that you listen to as well, and it's okay.
I know, but believe me, there are more episodes of the Exam Room that I have forwarded to other people than you would believe.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, it's
Thank you.
amazing. So keep up the good work there.
I
But the
shall.
final question is,
Let's go.
and yeah, you got to rack your brain on this one. What is or are, you can do one, you could do several, favorite meals, snacks, or beverages that you would recommend to the listeners?
All right. So this is kind of low hanging fruit, pardon the pun. Um, so yes, big fan of coffee, black. I recommend that to any and everybody, right down to kindergartners. Um, now, um, so I frame this a little bit differently though, because so many people, especially when they're just getting started, they're like, "Well, I don't know what to do, and I don't have a lot of time. Is there any frozen foods that you could recommend?" Boom. Go and get you some Blue Zone's Kitchen frozen meals. I have found, at least in my local grocery store, these things are forever on sale, and like I love that. So I buy them in bulk, and then also, my buddy Rip Esselstyn. He's got
Yep, yep,
Plant Strong, and all of his stuff is really good too. And so, and keep it simple. Those are the two cleanest ones that I know of.
hmm
And I think that if you just stock up on the soups, the cereals, the chilies, like you're going to be in pretty good shape. And then, for snack, like there's nothing wrong with popcorn, just don't load it up with butter at all.
right. Yeah,
And like that's pretty good. And for the love of pearl, if you want to keep it super simple, one of my favorite meals to this day is when I was just getting going and didn't know what I was going to do. Baked sweet potato, steamed broccoli, and some beans. More often than not, black beans. You just drizzle a little bit of hot sauce on top, and that's it, man. Keep it simple. It goes back to what we were talking about earlier. Just
yes,
keep it simple, you know?
yep,
And so that's the easy stuff. I could bore you with, oh, well, I also like to make my own bowls with a bunch of roasted vegetables and greens and grains. Like if you're
yeah,
just getting going, nobody has time for that. Like just get the frozen stuff and, see
yeah.
see where life takes you. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. I was just having coffee with a friend today who said, all right, quick, give me something that I could feed my family tonight. And I rolled off a bunch of ideas. I said, we've been conditioned to either that standard plate of grilled chicken, broccoli, baked potato, or
Mhm.
the elaborate, like multi step, multi pot, so much to clean and prep. I said, legit, what's in my fridge is I batch cook brown rice. There's whatever vegetables in the drawer, and a container of hummus. That's what's going on my plate.
Amen to that. Hummus is its own food group, is it not?
I did hear you talk to someone recently about, it might not have been a recent episode, when you talked about were you talking about the black bean hummus to
Oh, that's a
somebody?
total game changer. Absolutely. Yeah, man, that's good stuff, dude. Black bean hummus, roasted red pepper hummus, garlic
Yep.
hummus, like all the hummus. Just keep bringing it, man. Just keep
Right?
bring back up the truck of hummus at this house. Trucko hummus.
Right. I love that. That's a good visual. I love it.
Yeah,
Well, Chuck, thank you so much. I will have all the links in the show notes. I'm so grateful to you. I wish you the best of luck on your health recovery journey
thank you.
and with the show. Just keep doing what you're doing.
I will, and you as well. So I'm honored to have been the first guest on the Flirty Vegan, and
Yes.
my wife will be very proud to know that the host did not flirt with me once. So thank you.
No, no. I no, it was restraint at its finest. And I should also say happy Thanksgiving because that's on the horizon.
Well, happy Thanksgiving to you and yours as well.
How amazing was that? I mean, I have been listening to Chuck for years now, and to be able to have him in the Zoom room with me, face to face, having a very personal conversation about his journey, wow, that's all I can say. So, I want to now bring you the key takeaways from this conversation. They used to be called Notes from the Sidelines when the show was called Sideline Sisters, but now these key takeaways are going to be labeled the juicy bits. So I hope you like that. I shall now reveal the juicy bits from today's conversation. Number one, fear is a powerful motivator. It's what brought Chuck to a plant based diet, and it might bring you to one as well if you are afraid of presenting with a chronic disease. Number two, the one nacho theory. You can't have just one. Let's face it, junk food is addictive. That's why it's called junk food. Come on. It makes you feel like a junkie. Number three, dieting isn't fun, but the goal is to keep it simple. And while protein is important, we really need to be focused on fiber. And if you eat a wide variety of plants, and by plants we're talking fruits, vegetables, beans, legumes, whole grains, nuts, and seeds, you will get all the nutrients you need. Number four, you can struggle and still perform at a high level. So just because you're sick or dealing with an illness or setback, it doesn't mean your life is over. As they said in Shawshank Redemption, get busy living or get busy dying. Number five, it is so cool that plaque buildup can be reversed. Number six, plant-based eating is not extreme. You can recreate all the cool food you've grown up with, all those traditional recipes, just as a different version. Number seven, and you'll finally taste the food and love it, and you won't be plagued with crazy cravings for more because whole foods don't trigger those addictive behaviors. Number eight, if you're not ready to go all in plant-based, start by replacing one meal per day for a week, then try 2 meals for a week, then try all 3 meals a day for a week. And if after that week you don't feel fantastic enough to stick with it, all right, you do you, boo. And finally, number 9, Chuck's plant-based recommendations: black coffee, Blue Zone, and Plant Strong frozen and packaged meals, popcorn without the extra salt and butter, baked sweet potatoes, steamed broccoli, black beans, and hot sauce. That's an amazing meal. And let's not forget the incredible category of hummus. There are so many varieties available everywhere you shop. You can even get it in an airport. Thank you all for listening. I'm so thrilled that you were here for the premiere episode of The Flirty Vegan. I hope you will check the show notes for Chuck's information as well as my free video tutorial on how to veganize fun holiday recipes. And if you are flirting with the idea of going vegan or vegetarian, you can book a call with me. That link is in the show notes as well. And please tell your friends to subscribe to this show. It is going to be amazing. The guests that I have lined up for you are out of this world. So remember, we're now going to every other week. So I will see you right back here the day before Thanksgiving for my powerful educational conversation with Andrew DeCoriolis. He is the executive director of an organization called Farm Forward. It is so fascinating. We will talk about food labels, humane washing, and much more. With a heart full of gratitude and a fridge full of veggies, I send you peace, love, and chickpeas. Mwah!